have completed the first lesson, no? Sit properly. Don't take support. Okay. Then I have told you I'll be taking power sharing. Anybody brought the statistics? I was only Christian. Yes. This little topic that we will be making a study with the first chapter of nationalism. That is completed, no? I have told you. I remember when I it's physics, economics, and political science. Yes, Yes. Have you heard this word power sharing? Not heard? Heard, no? I'm not a mom, whatever terms you have heard. Power sharing is basically the power is sharing. People choose their power. It's a power sharing. Even leaders have their power, and even the people have their power to maintain the equality among the high class and low class. Okay, that is one part. Yes. See, you might have heard about different organs of government. Legislature, executive, judiciary. So each one has some limitations and how much they can do. So this way, when the power is divided, that is also called power sharing. Let's see what is that. Sorry, guys. Okay. See, earlier when there was yes, earlier when the power was concentrated in kings, everything the king only decide. Whatever that punishing the people, taking the decisions, executing the decisions, everything is done by the king. But when this undivided power, undivided means the whole power concentrated in one person, that is called undivided power. So that created a lot of problem. That is why French Revolution, like that revolutions had taken place. So they have decided that is power to be distributed among different organs. Then you have heard about central government. Have you heard? Which one is called the central government? Between states. That is state. The central government. So that is Prime Minister Modi, cabinet. That all things are in the central authority. That is called the central government. In the states, we have chief minister and other cabinet Okay, so this way power is distributed between central government and the state government also. So this one is formed to make the distribution of power in a proper balance. If everything is concentrated in one person, then there is always the chance of what is that the one person become very much a dictator. So, in order to avoid such condition, power sharing is being done. For power sharing, there was a background. There was two examples given. One is about Belgium. One is about what is that Sri Lanka. So you just come and take that YouTube that so old Belgium's history and Sri Lanka. Huh? But girls, you are able to do, no? These people are showing so much head weight. That only. Huh? When I called him, he is showing that. He told I am not. No, not don't chalao. Sleep. Listen, and afterwards you have to answer. Whatever you are answering, I will write on it. Say power sharing. Class 10 CBSE. Then one small essay is there. Listen, little. That's how maps for you. Huh? It's like the. I'll change the subject. Audible? Audible now? towards unity. Okay, what you have heard from this? You sleep properly. You also sit straight. Belgium, what was the problem? I have told you just to listen. Now, if you are just paying that much attention, it is very easy to learn. Decide you listen that one, and I will ask for this. We got some numbers, ratios, these are things we got. But what is the exact relation? You just try.
Belgium it was 40-50.
40-50 or 40-50.
Sri Lanka there attendance 5%.
Okay. It's 80%. 80% and that 80% speaker, they were speaking like 80% Dutch. What you heard? Germany, no,
Belgium, three regions where there was one was the Flemish, second was the Wallonia, and in the Flemish there was a German. So majority of it was in German, German speaking. In the Flemish region, most of the people spoke Dutch, which constituted of 59%, and in Wallonia it was 40% French. And in Sri Lanka there was too much divisions like there are 13% Tamils, 5% Indian Tamils, 74% Sinhalas, and after the demanding for the constitution, Sinhala those majority of them in the Sinhala community will get most of the job and the appointments, university colleges.
yes. Okay. This was perfect. You?
Like he said, Belgium there were three major divisions. In the Flemish there were mostly Dutch, very
Flemish. Flemish
There were
region.
mainly Dutch speaking. 59% of the population spoke Dutch. In the Wallonia region there were 59% speaking Dutch and
40%. 59 and 40.
right, sorry, 40% speaking French and 1% was German speaking. And in the capital Brussels, there were 80% French and 20% Dutch. So because of this, there were many, disparities amongst the people because French people wanted um, their their power and then the Dutch wanted their power, but then they both came together in the central government and had an equal share of powers. And in the central government, in the state government also they had the same power, and they also had community government in which people from like one ethnicity could make their own government that would look after the language, the culture, and all of that. In Sri Lanka,
Sri Lanka, let's help.
Sri Lanka, the majority were the Sinhalese people, and they thought it's similar, and they gave importance to the roles, ignoring the rest of the minorities, and that's why the minorities were not the down people. They get alienated because most of the government jobs and universities were reserved for the Sinhalese people. So that's why the whole civil war happened.
Okay. Now, the these two countries, which country was able to solve the problem in a proper way? Two countries were given. Which country was able to settle the problem?
It was the Belgium because they were successful in setting up the government in the right way so that the world, it does not end up to a war. And Sri Lanka, it was a civil war because they weren't given equal rights as she said, Sinhala, were given the majority of rights and they were the majority. So they felt that the majority will have rights and other minorities were excluded. So this was very secure and the Tamil culture and it was expressed.
You tell what was the system introduced in Sri Lanka? There was a policy they have introduced. There was a name they have mentioned in that video. No? Okay. Let's see. Now, let us draw our attention to that. What was that problem which gave rise to a biggest rivalry? Okay. As far as India is concerned, we have so many languages, so many religious groups, so much differences only. Commonality, if you are taking, nothing is there. In that case, we are not always going and going. So for us, it is very difficult to understand that this small country, smaller than one of the state of India, Haryana, population also smaller than that country, how this much problem arises. Okay, so from that context, if you are saying, it's very difficult to understand because a small land or a small country, smaller than one of the state of India, that country, how this all problems arise. So, for understanding that, if we take that country Belgium, Belgium is divided or that three sides, three different countries. Okay, so northern part, Netherlands. So that part is called the Flemish region, and the eastern side, Germany, and the southern side, France. So that southern part is Wallonia region. That Wallonia region, 40% of the people speaking French language. In the northern part, 59% speak which language? Dutch language. And the German part, 1% speak German language. Then what is the biggest problem now? See, if you study about their condition, French speaking people were economically and educationally well or better off compared to the Dutch. So naturally they think that we are the majorities. Why can't we get all these facilities? Why can't we become rich? That was the cause of rivalry between these two regions. Okay, background you understood? Why? The French were economically and educationally strong. So Dutch did not get that privilege. So being the majority, they thought that they should get. One background. The central part, which is the capital of Belgium, Brussels. In that region, 80% were French speaking and 20% Dutch speaking. Have it been registered in your brain that numbers, percentage? Got it? Huh? Don't go ulta pulta. So Dutch were the majority in the country, 59%, and the French 40%, 1% German. Whereas in the capital Brussels, 80% French speaking and 20% Dutch speaking. Now, this rivalry aggravated, and they decided to have a solution for it. For that, from 1970 to 1993, they have amended the constitution 4 times in order to make a peaceful solution. And they introduced a policy of accommodation. This word you have to remember. What was the policy they introduced? Policy of accommodation. What is the meaning of accommodation? Accommodating the diversities. Accepting there are differences and accepting the difference and try to work together. That is what called accommodation. 4 policies were made. 1. In the central government, the number of ministers were equally from both the communities. What was that? Central government, equal number of ministers from both the communities. Which were both the community? Dutch and now Dutch accepted French also to have equal number. So the second thing, in Brussels, the number of Dutch and French were made equal. Understood? First point, in the central government, the number of ministers were equal, and in Brussels, there are also separate government. That government also, the number of members were equal. So 2 points. Now the third point, provinces or the states were given important powers and they were not subordinate to the central government. Okay? The state governments were given powers and they were not subordinate. And fourth, a separate government called the community government was formed. In that community government, all these linguistic groups, which were the linguistic group, Dutch, French, and Germans, they were having the freedom to make laws related to their cultural aspects and educational aspects. No one will deny them from making the rules. All 4 things, we just write out first this part, then afterwards accommodation. 4 points you just note down.
Like the Belgium and Sri Lanka.
Belgium first. Sri Lanka we will discuss separately. Okay. Then the yes. Only Belgium. Then that 4 points. Policy of accommodation. They are having that. We added that one. Then communal government also. Ah. What we will have for this. Let's go on. This one. Then the central government is related to third. Then third type of learning is community learning. Together we are have you got it? We combine that. First we complete. And what is your volume? Volume accommodation have you seen? So that the point. First part have you written? Pencil. First this much, that is Brussels also. Then afterwards this. First you complete, then only we can learn about the. That 4 points, the policy of accommodation. Completed? After complete, you are very less. Right. Suja. Is it? Completed? Ah. Understood that concept. So what do you have?
2-3 more minutes.
Yes.
8:20.
Okay.
Like the
Complete.
last question.
Just read it out and try to understand. If any part is not clear, first thing is 1970 to 93, 4 times the constitution was amended. Secondly, central government how it was constituted. Then state government. Okay. Then the government of Brussels. Then fourth, the community government. Name you have to remember policy of accommodation. Talk less and work more.
We have to write all the things about accommodation.
Over now. Okay. But you just think that this is the one that plus together, and okay. Now let's go to Sri Lanka. The break time you have to complete. It's okay to break time. Anyhow, otherwise no. Break time. Madam will Yes. Now, Sri Lanka. You all have heard so much about Sri Lanka, isn't it? What you have heard about Sri Lanka? Eh? Tell me. Lanka.
They suffering from crisis, economic crisis.
Economic crisis very recently. Last year we have heard so much about that. Before that, anything you have heard about Sri Lanka?
Sri Lanka cricket team.
Cricket team you have heard about. Okay.
Ramayana as well. Sri Lanka.
Yes, Ramayana. Ramayana you have
Right side.
yeah. So you have heard so many things. That is, there was some historical and cultural connection between India and Sri Lanka. What was its earlier name? Ceylon. Ceylon. Earlier name was Ceylon. So it was made as a colony of Britain, and they established tea plantations in Sri Lanka. British established tea plantations. And from India, especially from Tamil Nadu, it was very easy for the people to go and work in that plantation, and later on they settled. That is why this Indian Tamils we are getting. They have migrated to, or their forefathers migrated to Sri Lanka and become the part and parcel. Clear? So now, what is the major problem of Sri Lanka? See, in that country, small country only, just like that Haryana, again we are comparing it to Haryana, but that size is less, but population is more. When we compare it with a European country, population was less, but here the population is more. What was the ethnic composition? 74% of that people were Sinhalese. What was the ethnic group was Sinhalese. And 18% were Tamils. Out of this 18%, 13% were Sri Lankan Tamils and 5% Indian Tamils. Now, when it was shown that this map we have seen, if you have gone through that map, you could have noticed northern and eastern part were inhabited by the Tamils. North
And Indian. Sri Lankan and
Indian. Tamil. So Tamil majority area was there in the northern and the eastern part. In 1948, Sri Lanka got independence. When Sri Lanka got independence, they introduced a policy of majoritarianism. What was the name? This word you have to remember.
What did you say the date for independence?
In 48. Independence 1948. Then afterwards they introduced a policy of majoritarianism. Okay. What was the policy? Majoritarianism. That was introduced in 1956 by the Sinhala government. When it was introduced? 1956. What was the majoritarian or what were the majoritarian policies? The first one, that jobs and admissions were reserved for Sinhalese. Okay? Reservation for Sinhalese for jobs and education. Second, Buddhism was fostered and made as the official religion, which was Buddhism. Then, third one is that Tamil, which was the spoken language of 18% of the population, were insignified. They did not pay any attention to that Tamil. Okay, one is that what was the first one? Sinhala language was fostered and developed for Sinhalese, that reservation of the seats in education and jobs. Then next point, Buddhism was fostered and promoted and made as official religion, and Tamil was made insignificant. This policy created a problem. The 18% of the population, whether it is Sri Lankan Tamils or Indian Tamils, they were demanding autonomy in the regions where they are the majority. Understood? They demanded autonomy. They were not demanding autonomy in the whole country. They were demanding autonomy in the regions they are majority. They made so much demands to the government. They protested and all. Then they realized that no, party is going to take their need before the government. So they started forming some revolutionary organizations, LTTE, TULF, like that. See, if you want that full form, you just write Liberation Tigers of This is the full form of LTT. Second, write fast, it is not there in the textbook. Completed? So you have to write about that majoritarian policies also. What were the majoritarian policies in Sri Lanka? 1956 majoritarian policies. You just mark these points. They went, they went on favoring majority community Sinhala by adopting series of majoritarian measures. In 1956, the Sinhala underlining or marking?
Which point first, second point?
Second point, then third point, then the government of Sri Lanka followed preferential policies that favored Sinhala applicants for university positions and government jobs. All these government measures coming one after other gradually created a feeling of alienation. That is, they are feeling themselves. That is, Tamil started feeling they are away from. They are not the part of. They felt none of the major political parties that if you did not if you did not write also will do, but they were not sensitive to the demands of the temples. Then next part, these policies, the policies of government were only designed to promote the interest of the Sinhala community.
And we have to write
Majoritarian points you have to write. That is
all.
what, no, whatever I told 4 points. No, second, third, fourth.
And 5 points.
Understood. That points are the majoritarian policies. Then the next part is that how the tension between these two communities increased and it led to war. That is what the policies of government were only designed to promote the interest of the Sinhalese community. All these policies created
From
feeling.
there,
Conclusion part. Okay. They felt that the constitution of the government denied those equal political rights and discriminated against them in getting jobs and other things. As a result, the relation between Sinhala and Tamil communities strained. It boiled further when the Tamil political organization launched a struggle for the recognition of Tamil as the official language. Then, second, regional autonomy and equality of opportunity in securing education. So, three demands they made. What were the demands? That is shown in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6th point. Okay, have you seen? You just put the number. What were the demands? 1, to recognize Tamil as the official language. Got it? Sometimes it will be asked what were the demands made by the Tamils. Then second, regional autonomy. And third, equality of opportunity in securing education and jobs. 3 points clear? Then this will become, that means the relationship between the Tamils and the Sinhalese strained. So there were so many civil wars. And finally, you can see, have you heard about this LTT? No. See, this group was responsible for the murder of one of our earlier Prime Minister, Rajiv Gandhi. See, there was some incidents, so much violent revolutions or civil wars were there under the leadership of this LTT. There was one leader named Velupilla Prabhakaran. So under his leadership, so much killings and all. Then the government of Sri Lanka requested India's help. Okay. So in means some forces to be sent or some way help us. So as a result of that demand, uh, Indian government sent Indian peacekeeping force (IPKF). What is the peacekeeping force? So it was an army group for settling the problem, that is to maintain peace. But this irritated LGT. So here we are demanding for Tamil rights. Tamils are part of India. Then why you supported the Hindu government? This gave rise to lot of tension, and when the Rajiv Gandhi was contesting for the next term, that is election time, one election rally was held at Tamil Nadu, Sri Perumbudur. That place, the rally was there, and this terrorist with the bomb in their body, they carried bomb. So they came on the stage and killed. So what is that? I just told that incident in order to understand that our relation with the Sri Lanka also got strained due to the acts of this government. Actually, India helped them to sort out the problem, but it turned out to be a threat for India. Finally, fully that LTT was suppressed, and this Prabhakaran was also killed. That so now that kind of problem is not there. At the same time, there are some problems. We know that any government which is taking the loans from the other countries, they will be debt trap. If they were not able to, Sri Lanka was a rich country, plantations were there, so everything were there. But it fall prey to China. Instead of being friendly with India, they try to be friendly with the enemy of India. So that is why now also economic condition is very bad. India could have helped. Afterwards, India helped them, but still that much debt condition. That is for each and everything. The country was taking loan, and all, and China was charging. Even one of the port of this one, Sri Lanka, was also taken over by China because that much debt ridden. So any country which is living on loan from the external countries, this is the fate.
The same happened in Pakistan, right?
Yes.
They used to take loans to buy weapons, and from the China, and they were running to their economic crisis with theirs.
Yes. They were purchasing that weapons to use against India. But what India is doing, India is developing its own weapons for self-defense. It is not making the weapons to fight against any country. It is not having ambition to expand it, but it is developing. But Pakistan, from the earlier time, 1947 onwards, what Pakistan did, it became a member of that Western Bloc, America. From America, it purchased huge piles of weapons. That means so many different types of stockpiles of weapons. but their government was not secure. Every time we know that the elected government will be toppled down by the military, and it will go under that dictatorship. Pakistan. We know that is so many times dictatorships, military dictatorship. So it did not have a time to develop and plan, and it instigated terrorism. That is why this condition Pakistan had to experience. India is not ready to surrender its sovereignty to any power. There were so many situations. We know that in 1990, that time, India was forced to sign a treaty called the CTBT, Comprehensive Test Ban Treaty. All the European countries were amassing weapons. India was not making weapons like that, but India was forced to sign. So India told that is, if you are removing your pile of weapons, that is stockpile of weapons, then we will sign. You are making and you are asking us to sign. We are not ready. So every time we maintained our integrity, that is why India is able to survive. Understood. So, political and foreign policies are also very important. How we are standing. All our neighboring countries are facing so many types of problems because they always target another country instead of developing themselves. So that is why let's come back to our Sri Lanka. You understood what was the problem. Once again, let us see in that the population 74% Sinhalese, 18% Tamils. Out of the 18%, 13% Sri Lankan Tamils, and 5% Indian Tamils. Then the religious competition, if you are seeing, majority of these people, that is Tamil population, were either Hindus or Muslims, and even Christians were also there. But the Sinhala population, majority were Buddhist. And even Christians were there, 7% Christians were there. That is from all the groups. That is, even among the Sinhalese also Christians are there, and among the Tamils also. Then what is the problem with that country is that they have introduced a preferential policy towards the Sinhala language and Sinhala culture. This preferential policy made the Tamils alienate. Then they started movements, realized that no group is there for, no political party is fighting for their rights. So they found a terrorist organization to fight for their rights. Understood that picture of Sri Lanka? Both the countries. Belgium we have studied. Belgium could solve the problem or not? How they were able to solve the problem? That is accept the difference and policy of accommodation. Now, whether Sri Lanka was able to solve their problem? No. Why they were not able to solve the problem? Majoritarian policies. So, the other groups felt alienated. Both the country's condition and the solutions you have understood. Now, let's see. Now we are going to study about why power sharing is essential. Okay, you just come and the continuation of that a little bit is that, no? Listen very carefully that part. Okay. Now we find there are two reasons for power sharing: prudential and a moral reason. Can anyone tell me what is the prudential reason? Power of prudence. Prudence means to reduce the conflicts. What is that? Ah. See, when the power is shared or distributed among, then conflicts also will be reduced. So, prudential reason, the first is that it reduces the conflicts among the different sections, different administrative groups, etc. That is why one of the prudential reason is that it reduces the conflicts among the different groups. Second, we can see that second is that it will produce better outcome. It produce better outcome. You write what are the prudential reasons. Sometimes if the power sharing produce better outcome, what type of reason is that? So you should be able to remember what it is prudential reason. Okay. Now, third prudential reason is that it is good because it reduces the possibility of conflict. Social conflict often leads to violence. We have studied the example of Sri Lanka. Always violence, of partition, different groups were against each other. All these things happen because of this small conflicts. So it reduces the possibility of such conflicts and violences. Then, imposing the will of the majority over the other may look an attractive option for a short period. Say, dictatorship, suppressing that other people look good for a very short period. But in the long run, these people will turn against the dictator. So majority will upon the minority is not a good option for a long time. Understood? Imposing that point also. Imposing the will of majority. Okay. Next point, we have to see that it is based on the prudence of the administrators, prudence of that people who are under that rule decides the fate of the country. Means we have to think in a positive term to make the country better. That is why we need power sharing. See, if only one person is taking the decision for the whole nation, that decision may not be good. If there is consultation among the members, that can get a better decision or that can give a better decision. Did you understand that? What are the prudential reasons? Any part require explanation? Now, what is the moral reason? First point, it is the spirit of democracy. Moral reason, that is power sharing is the spirit of democracy. Then, say, who is getting the effect of that? That is what the rulers and the ruled. So ruled should be consulted. So moral reason is that when there are two parties, the rulers and the ruled have the right to be consulted. What is your need? That to be asked. So imposing the will of the rulers is not good. So they have the ruled have the right to be consulted. Third is that a legitimate government is one where citizens through participation acquire the stake in the system. Okay, participation of the citizen. Okay, did you understand the difference between the prudential and moral reason? What is the prudential reason? The first one you tell. Don't read it. And what did you understand by that?
Ma'am, it reduces the confidence.
Yes. Huh? Say.
Ma'am, I'm also standing with giving more chances to the majorities of the good in the long run and the short run. Otherwise, it is a bad decision.
See, in that, see, when you are in need of getting a positive outcome in the future, we need to share the power. You just think about you people are getting project work. Are you getting any project works in school? Huh?
Yes, ma'am, we make holiday homework even for 4 days if we have a holiday. Then we give holiday homework. Each and every subject has a holiday homework. We are very familiar to that.
See, now, some of the projects are like presentations. Are you getting that a presentation? PowerPoint presentation or group presentation? Okay. When you are getting that presentation, if one person is getting the topic that is alone, individually that person has to do, that person is not good in doing that.
No, it's opposite. If you do it in a team, the other person won't understand what you're trying to explain.
In
He
a team,
won't
ma'am,
follow
the power will not be
Yes,
shared
ma'am.
equally.
He won't follow what you're saying, and you would not make the project. And your teamwork will be a mess.
One person
Individual
will do all
is
the
better.
work, one
Always
person will
better.
do all the work.
Unity is a different thing.
And one person will be absent on
Manage
Monday.
it. And then keep the things simple. You need to be individual.
Individual. Okay.
In absent to the other.
Many will not work also, no? There, say, the person who is doing the full work they have to do, no? So, okay, some areas it is distributed. In that, leader will be there, leader will give that instruction to the members, and sometimes domination we can see. That a person will dominate in all the areas, the others' ideas are also not taken. So that way. So, but some cases, if the power is distributed, that will be good. That is what we have.
It should be managed properly. It matters. It's not
Yes.
small.
That is just giving is not good.
Yes.
Everything.